Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today, more problems. Let's get started. All right, let's start off this video with the last video. The little one where I did the little 9-minute video with the speedy up with the song, me just go ahead and finishing out sanding the wingtips. The strange part about that, it was kind of very broken up for the way I like to put videos together. And just for a quick explanation of why it came out like it did, is that out of the 3-part series for doing the wings, for doing the wingtips, that was the first video I edited. I edited the last video first. And the reason why I did it is because if you see this little teeny microphone right here, I decided to change out a mic system. I went from my Rode mic, which I loved, and I still do. I still prefer it over this. But this is a wireless, and it makes it easier for me not only to work around the shop and not have to make sure that, like if I grab the GoPro or one of my other cameras, is that I don't have to worry about the audio being recorded through that, even though it's still on, just a backup, just in case something happens with this. I don't have to mess with the audio. I can just go ahead and jump from this, like when you see me jump from this camera, rotate around, and all of a sudden I jump right into what I'm talking about. I've already got the GoPro set up. So you can continue that fluid motion through, and I keep trying to work that so that it gets better. So let's get back to work on the plane. All right, it's been about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks since last time I was down in the shop when we got the wings done. This morning came down and started joining the wings together, and you can kind of see it right about there. Nothing glued. I've just got the little spar connectors and the wing connectors. And I wanted to see how well everything hooked up on the fuselage. So I had the fuselage up in my little pink stand that I've been using since 2003 on my Warbirds. So pink foam works. So when I had the fuselage upside down and started sliding it in, the little wing, the locating pins up front didn't seem to want to go in. I want to make sure that the wing is going to be sitting perpendicular to the fuselage. So what was going to be is put the wing on there, put the screws in there, and then go ahead and make some marks, some indicator marks on the wing, and measure it back to the tail. And I'll probably just do it with just a pin sticking up vertically in the tail. Just so that way we know if the wing's sitting in there straight. Well, the wings, let me show you here. This is what happened when you go to put things together and you realize at the factory, and I'm hoping you can see that, this one angles down, this one comes straight out. So when they drilled the holes and glued those pins in, because I didn't do that, yeah, they did them wrong. So what I'm probably going to do, I think this one, I'm going to slide it back in and I'll show you guys. I think this side went in fine. If this side slides in fine, I'm going to come over here and do the nasty because these are glued in. You can see I tried to rotate it just to see if I can get the thing to come on out. I may just go ahead, cut this off and either relocate it a little bit farther in or just try to re-drill out the same hole and epoxy in another rod, just so that way we've got the wing sitting straight. Because the rest of it looked like it was doing pretty good. It was just because this was angled down, it was not allowing the wing to sit properly in the fuselage. And there may be an issue back here where they drilled the holes, because I think this side here lines up perfectly straight, and this side it's in the wrong location. So either this was drilled in the wrong location, or it was, sorry about that, or it was drilled in the wrong location down here. I'm not 100% sure on that. This side went in and worked, the left side did, and the right side no. So anyway, we'll get it all set up and I'll show you guys how it just doesn't fit. All right, I got the plane set up upside down in the stand. I've only got half of a wing, one half of a wing attached to it, because I did find part of the problem is not where I thought the problem was. It's actually on the other wing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you through the GoPro, see, so you can see two of me right there. Awesome. Anyway, Okay, here's what we're looking at, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. This is the halfway point. As you can see, as we continue with the line up, it's this side, the way that this side is set up. This hole is in the wrong spot, and the reason why I know this hole's in the wrong spot is because when I took the other half of the wing, that one right down there, put it on, it lined up perfectly with this one. So this is the issue. It's this wing, not this wing. So the part where I thought that little tab, the mounting hole, the whatever you want to call that little thing, the pointy thing, because it had that weird angle to it, that weird angle works with this. So this is the one that was put in the wrong spot. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to have to reset this one, and I've got to try to figure out how I want to do it, because we're going to have to reset this, and we're going to have to reset the pin coming out the front, the locator. So yeah, this one's going to be fun. So as per usual, whenever I think it's going to be something simple, it's not. This is you know, this plane was built and sold, I think back in 2003-ish was when Helmet still owned the company and used to sell it. So, and of course I called them up to see if they had any old files in their system, so that they can go ahead and send me a PDF file of the whole assembly of this plane, and they said they don't have that file anymore, so they wouldn't send anything. All right, back to work. The first thing I did was I went ahead and I measured. Let me turn you this way so you can see. I measured pretty much from center of the wing joiner in the middle, and I'll explain to you how I fixed this, because I haven't fixed it. I just tweaked it. Yeah, I tweaked it. Is it fixed properly? Yeah, but I tweaked it. I didn't cut anything apart. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance from a set point on the wingtips. So, and I don't know if you can see on the camera where I'm set up. Yeah, okay. So I've got a needle here. I've got a needle on the exact other wingtip, the same distance out, and then I've got one over here on the tail, and I'll show you the one on the tail because that's where we're making our measurements at. Now, because when I built this thing, luckily, I could put it in the same exact spot on the wingtip, and it measured out to 32 and 3/4 inches in the same spot where two pieces were joined together. So that is how everything is set up. So I've got two identical points on each wingtip, and then we're going to the one needle that's set up right on the tail. So that's going to be our indicator, so we know exactly how far we are away from being the wing properly set up. So let me go ahead and get you set in like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of yellow tape and tape it around about where this is going to come in contact with the needle. And I'll get a little magic marker and make a mark on it, because I can always just get another piece of tape if I have to change it. All right, with my little piece of tape, I took my little Sharpie marker and I put a little teeny line on it. So this is set up right now. See if you can see that. I'm hoping you can. That is the distance from that lower wingtip where I've got the pin set up to this pin in the center of the tail at the rear. So now let me go ahead and set up on this side, on this wingtip. So if everything is set up nicely, where I readjusted the wing so that the wing itself was on the center line of the fuselage, the two wing halves, so that's where they joined. In theory, these should line up exactly, but we don't know how close it's going to be. Alright, so where it's sitting at right now, I'm less than 1/8 of an inch. And I don't know if you guys were actually able to see that. I don't think you can, but pretty much where everything is lining up, the distance is, there we go. The distance is from the edge of the masking tape to the center line. So it's only that far off. So we're about 1/8 of an inch off. So that's just going to be a matter of just tweaking the wing just a little teeny bit just to get everything lined up. All right, we're pretty darn close. We're getting about this distance on this side, and when we come to the other side from that wingtip, it's about the same. So this, because I'm not done, what I have been doing, I've just been doing a little bit of caressing. You can see we still have a strange little compression here, and this is with the wing being as straight as we can get it right now, in accordance to the center line of the fuselage. This side, we got a little bit of a pinch on this side, and it's pulling away on that one. So this is just a little bit of sanding, just to make sure that, because we're going to have the gap anyway from where the covering, because we're going fabric on this, where the covering's going to wrap around. We got to have like probably about a half a mil, if not a millimeter, of a gap back here to cover that. I don't like the way they've got this set up, where you can see that all you're doing is you're really not having a solid anchor point here. You're just compressing the wood down. So what I'm going to do is I'll come in with a file the wing saddle at an upward angle, just to mimic the probably 3 degrees or whatever they've got on the wings. So that way this will go down and it will sit flush on there. So this will get lowered down a little bit as well. Now up here on the front, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, so we're going to give it a shot. We'll walk all the way around. We've got a nice little gap up front. We can work with that. I had to come in and I had to file some of this back, because when I came in with a straight edge and a square, this piece here, you can feel it up front because you don't have field of vision. They glued this piece on a little bit crooked. So that ended up just translating to everything else on how it was done. So this, as you can see now, with the wing being straight, we've got a parallel gap there. So that gap, if we have to fill it, we'll just put some balsa in there and just sand it, because once we start covering, that'll be done. So let me show you real quick where we've got the little pins put in. I did it on the same side. I measured out, and this right here where this piece came across the outside edge of this, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Piece of the wing, the little quarter rib. And that's from the center line. It came out to 32 3/4 on this side, and it did the same on that side. So I just went ahead and measured everything out, so we knew we had good anchor points from which to measure. So those are our indicators. And there's a little thing on the tail. So anyway, I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll bring you guys back, because I've spent more time just fiddling with this thing to try to figure out where the problem was. So that way, instead of going ahead and having to cut these little dowels off, I can make it work. I just came in with a file and just filed the hole just a little bit. So say that this side had to come up a little bit because it was compressing too much. I just filed it up just a little bit, just enough, so that way when it goes in, it's released the pressure on the top of the wing up against the fuselage. So I did that, and you can see I've got a good gap on both sides, and that's where that's the gap that needs to be there for the covering. So the bottom wing is it's almost done. Just a couple other little tweaks and the bottom wing will be done. Hey everyone, Bud from the future coming back, because I don't like making abrupt endings, and that was an abrupt ending. So I decided, I figured I'd come on down and just show you what's kind of happened since then, just as a teaser. That's the cowling. So you know what's underneath the cowling. Yeah, the motor's mounted. That's going to be the next video. And the other thing that showed up was the servos, the Savics. These are about 150 inch-ounce servos, which is going to be more than enough for the elevator, the rudder, because this is a fifth scale plane. So it's going to be plenty enough for the rudder, the elevator, and the ailerons. Now, on the ailerons, I did decide to go with just servos on the bottom wing. I just figure carbon fiber push-pull rod from the upper aileron to the lower should be much more than sufficient, because that's going to put out enough power. And this is, you know, a 1920s, 1930s biplane. They didn't have a roll rate like you kind of want to put on a biplane. So that's how we're going to go with that one. To take the time to cut out, to put servo bays in the top wing, and then make sure that you've got the holes drilled through, so you can run extension cable down into and then get it down to the fuselage. On this plane was too hodgepodgey. I didn't really like doing it. On the big old biplane that I built, that I custom made the top deck where for the fuel tank sits, because that one, if you looked at the videos, the fuel tank sat on top, the oil tank sat down in the main part of the fuselage. So what I did was, when I built that top section, that was where I had the servo leads come down into and then go down inside the fuselage, so we can hook it up to the servo. So I'm not going to do it on this because I just really don't think I'm not going to need it. For as much as I'm going to just want to go out and have fun with it, the plane itself should fly great just the way it is. So anyway, I just wanted to leave the video on a good note instead of just kind of cutting it off, because that's just it drives me nuts. So anyway, yeah, we can call it a video now, and I'll see you guys next time I'm down in the shop.